A paralyzed boy pointed to the one dog everyone feared, the one labeled dangerous. The shelter begged him to choose another, but his tears said otherwise. Then, the rejected German Shepherd did something no one expected, something so powerful. It shocked everyone and changed everything. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. Ethan's world had grown small since the accident. At just 8 years old, he sat in his wheelchair by the window every afternoon, watching children run across the street, chasing soccer balls, laughing freely, living the life he longed to touch again. His hands gripped the wheels, but no amount of effort could bridge that distance. What kept him going was hope. Every night, Ethan would whisper the same wish before closing his eyes. I just want a friend who won't leave me behind. His parents tried to cheer him up with toys, books, even video games, but nothing filled the emptiness in his heart. One evening, while scrolling through pictures of pets on a shelter's website, Ethan's eyes lit up. Dogs of every shape and size stared back at him, their faces filled with need. Something sparked inside him. Maybe, just maybe, his friend was waiting there. The shelter buzzed with noise the moment Ethan's wheelchair rolled through the entrance. Barking echoed off the walls, tails thumped against kennel doors, and eager faces pressed against metal bars. To most children, it might have been overwhelming, but for Ethan, it felt like stepping into a world of possibility. His wide eyes darted from cage to cage, every bark sounding like a call for attention. A kind volunteer bent down, smiling warmly. Would you like to meet some of our friendlier puppies? They love kids, she offered, pointing toward a row of wagging tails and playful yelps. Ethan's parents exchanged hopeful glances, silently urging him to choose one of the safe, cheerful options. But Ethan's gaze wandered further down the corridor, past the bouncing puppies and excited young dogs. Then he stopped. His hands froze on the wheels of his chair, his breath catching. In the dim corner, separated from the others, was a German Shepherd. Unlike the rest, he didn't bark or wag. He just stared back with haunting, silent eyes. The German Shepherd sat motionless in his kennel, his massive frame tense, his eyes fixed on Ethan with an intensity that made even the adults uneasy. A faded sign hung on the door. Dangerous. Not for adoption. The words seemed to echo in the boy's mind, sharp and unfair. A shelter worker quickly stepped forward, her expression firm. Sweetheart, you don't want that one, she said gently. He's been through too much. He isn't safe around people. Ethan's parents nodded, urging him to look at the playful puppies just a few cages away. But Ethan didn't move. His small hand gripped the wheelchair tighter. For reasons he couldn't explain, he felt pulled to the shepherd. While others saw danger, Ethan saw something different: loneliness, pain, and a silent plea for someone to believe in him. I want him, Ethan whispered, his voice trembling but sure. The room fell quiet. No one expected those words, least of all the staff who had long given up hope for the rejected dog. Ethan's parents tried to reason with him, their voices low but urgent. Honey, he's not the right dog for you, his mother said, her hand resting gently on his shoulder. Please, choose another. Any other. The boy shook his head, tears welling in his eyes as he whispered again, I want him. The staff exchanged nervous glances. To them, the shepherd was a risk, unpredictable, aggressive, a liability they couldn't place in a fragile boy's care. But Ethan's eyes never wavered. His small hand stretched through the bars, trembling, reaching for the one dog everyone had turned away from. Then it happened. The dog shifted. Instead of baring his teeth or snapping, the German Shepherd lowered his head slowly until his nose brushed against the boy's fingertips. The tension in the room broke like glass. Ethan's tears spilled freely as he stroked the rough fur, whispering softly, See? He's not bad. In that moment, every adult watching realized they were witnessing something they couldn't explain, an unspoken bond forming right before their eyes. For a long moment, no one spoke. The German Shepherd stayed pressed against Ethan's hand, his tail giving the faintest twitch. The boy's tears turned into a trembling smile, his wheelchair shaking as he leaned closer. He likes me, Ethan whispered, his voice filled with awe. The shelter director frowned, arms crossed tightly. That dog has snapped at everyone who's come near him. He doesn't let anyone close, not even our staff. And now, her voice trailed off as she studied the shepherd's body language, softer than anyone had ever seen. Doubt flickered across her face. When Ethan pulled his hand back, the dog whined, a low, mournful sound that startled the room. Then, to everyone's shock, he pressed his body against the cage door, refusing to move until Ethan returned his touch. The boy's fingers slid back through the bars, and again, the shepherd grew still, almost peaceful. It was more than chance, more than luck. Even the hardest hearts in the shelter couldn't ignore it. The dangerous dog had chosen his person, and that person was Ethan. Reluctantly, the shelter staff agreed to a supervised trial. The German shepherd was led into the open yard, a leash clipped firmly to his collar. Two handlers kept a tight grip, their shoulders tense, their eyes never leaving him. Ethan waited in his wheelchair near the gate, his small hands twisting nervously in his lap. At first, the dog paced restlessly, ears back, muscles coiled. The staff exchanged worried glances, prepared for the worst. But then Ethan called softly, "Come here, boy." His voice was shaky, yet steady enough to reach the shepherd. To everyone's astonishment, the powerful dog froze, ears perking toward the boy's voice. Slowly, he padded across the yard, ignoring the handler's tugs. When he reached Ethan, he sat down, pressing his head gently into the boy's lap as if the chaos around them didn't exist. Ethan's laughter rang out, pure and unrestrained. The staff watched in stunned silence. The shepherd, once feared and written off, obeyed only one person's command, the paralyzed boy who refused to give up on him. The staff decided to push the test further. A small group of families entered the yard to watch, children clinging nervously to their parents. The shepherd stayed planted beside Ethan's wheelchair, his sharp eyes following every movement. He was alert, but calm, his body language different from the snarling beast they once feared. Then, without warning, another child tripped over a toy ball and fell forward with a cry. Gasps echoed through the yard. The shepherd bolted. Panic surged. Staff lunged for the leash, certain he was about to attack. Mothers pulled their children close. Fathers shouted in alarm. For a heartbeat, the yard was chaos. But what happened next silenced everyone. Instead of snapping, the shepherd slid his body beneath the falling child, cushioning the impact. He nudged the child gently with his nose, licking away tears. The boy giggled through his fright, clinging to the dog's fur as though he were an old friend. The crowd stood frozen. This was no dangerous animal. This was a guardian, protective, loyal, misunderstood. He had simply been waiting for someone who needed him as much as he needed them. The shelter director, once so firm in her refusal, stepped forward. Her expression softened, the weight of what she had witnessed clear in her eyes. "I don't know how to explain this," she admitted quietly, "but that dog belongs with him." The staff nodded in agreement, some wiping tears as they unlocked the paperwork. As Ethan rolled toward the exit, Rex trotting proudly beside him, everyone knew they weren't just leaving the shelter. They were starting a story that would change both of their lives forever.